Today we're diving into a topic that's everywhere, especially at the end of a year. We talk about goal setting, but here's the twist. We are not doing it the way you are used to. If you've ever set a goal, achieved it and felt underwhelmed, or struggled even to start or sticking along because something just didn't feel right, this episode is for you. We are breaking down the hidden reason why so many of us lose the steam or end up chasing things that don't actually make you happy. What if the problem isn't the goal itself, but how you're choosing it? Or better yet, what's driving it? We are going to unravel that mystery and give you a whole new way to think about what you are working toward. Trust me, this will change the game for you. Let's get into it. So it is the time of the year where we have a couple of more days left and we are switching from 2024 into 2025. I personally couldn't be more excited about it. I don't know why, but I feel like 2025 will be so expansive, and I used the whole year in 2024 to really prepare myself for something bigger to come. No, don't have any words for what that is, but anyway, that's not what we want to talk today about. I want to dive into today something that is so typical of all people from the industry of the coaching industry to talk about, and that is goal setting. Everyone loves to talk about that, but only a few people actually get that right. And this is not a typical, oh, let's set goals or how to set goals. It is way deeper than that. And before you roll your eyes thinking this is just another how to crush your goals pep talk, let me stop you right there. Because, love, I'm here to tell you that goal setting on its own is deeply flawed. And I didn't know how flawed it was until I realized that it just doesn't resonate with me. And I had a full year this year where I didn't set any goals until I came to an epiphany that I will tell you throughout, that I will my insights that I got from this year will weave into the episode today. So the whole write down, break it up into steps and go after the very thing, it just doesn't work for most of us. And and there's one crucial piece that is so missing, and I'm pretty sure you might have not heard about it before. So the crucial piece that's missing for your goals to really work are your values. In this podcast, I really talk a lot about values because I have lived without my values for most of my life. And that's why most of my life I was either out of integrity or did so many things that were never aligned to who I am and who I wanted to become and what I really wanted to do. Okay. So let me start with a question. How many goals have you set, achieved, and then thought, well, is this it? Or maybe you have set a goal and couldn't bring yourself to even follow through because the motivation just wasn't there from the get-go, or you lost the motivation 2-3 weeks into trying to achieve a goal. And let me tell you something, because I have always thought that I am lazy or undisciplined, but that has hardly been the case for me. And I'm pretty sure if you haven't achieved a goal, it was also hardly because you were a lazy bum or you just didn't have the willpower. So the reason why we sometimes don't get where we want to go is because you were chasing something disconnected from your deeper values. And let me explain this a little bit more deeper. So we've all been told to live by goals. We live in a society where we all go after something, and goals are everywhere. They are on vision boards, they are in your planners, they might be in some of the Instagram captions, it might be the coach's marketing, like lose 20 pounds, hit 6 figures, write a book, be the best mom, whatnot. And here's the problem. Goals are external. They are focused on outcomes, achievements, and of course metrics, because a goal that you can't measure is hardly a goal. So that sounds really good on paper, but they really hardly get or rarely get to the heart of why you want what you want. So in psychological terms, goals often tap into extrinsic motivation. And extrinsic motivation is something like money, status, or approval. And while those motivators can light fire under your ass for a while, studies actually have shown that extrinsic motivation is not sustainable at all. You will eventually burn out, lose interest, or feel just very empty once you have achieved the very thing. And I'm pretty sure that you have achieved plenty in your life. And once you have achieved it, you fell into a big lull or something like, okay, so what's next, instead of really enjoying what you got. So what's missing here? When we talk about extrinsic motivation before, we need in the extrinsic motivation that we talked before, we need intrinsic motivation, so that I get the words out here. And that's why your values comes in, because intrinsic motivation is something that comes from the inside out. It's coming from something inside of you. And that's why values are so fucking important. So values are the foundation of who you are. They are not about what you achieve, they are about what you stand for, how you live, and what matters to you most. You can think of them as your internal compass. So let's take that a bit deeper with some science. Researchers in psychology, particularly in acceptance and commitment therapy, very interesting to know that that existed, that branch of psychology. So they have found that living a values-driven life leads to greater well-being and resilience. And the reason for that is because when your actions align with your values, you feel more authentic, more grounded, and obviously more fulfilled, even if the external outcomes don't go as planned. So here's the big difference between goals and values. And it is about the question that you ask. Goals ask, what do I want to be? Values, on the other hand, say or ask, who do I want to be? Do you feel the shift here between what do I want to do and who do I want to be? So goals are basically the what, and the values are the why. And without that why, goals are just empty check boxes, and you run the risk of doing it just for the money, for the status, and for what I said before, for the approval, for the validation. So let me give you an example to really show you what I mean by all that. Let's say you set a goal to make 6 figures in business. I know so many coaches, so many coach friends that are trying to hit the 6 figures in your business. So in the coaching industry, 6 figures is absolutely what most people want to aim for. That's fine on the surface. But if you're chasing that number because it looks good on Instagram, or your clients will buy more from you, you do it so that you can put that into your marketing, or because some other coaches told you that that's the benchmark for your success, then the goal is going to feel hollow. And I don't know how many coaches I know who have exactly fell into that trap. So the 6-figure mark is really something in the coaching industry, and so many coaches that I know made it happen. It's not hard. It just takes a lot of work, grit, and determination. And I met so many women who all had that. But then they hit rock bottom, more or less. They found out that actually the way how they did it was either not ethical or it did not feel good. It felt actually more icky than nothing else. But they thought, well, if I hit the 6 figures, I will feel whatever they didn't feel at the time. And that's a trap of a values void life or a value void business. And here's where it gets real. When you live a life based on goals without anchoring them to your values, you will feel like you are constantly running but never arriving. And I've been there, like achieving one milestone after the other just to, feel like, okay, now I done it. So what's next? And it's such a pity if you get there, because you never feel you are accomplished, you have done it, because there's always something else. So that will mean that you will chase things that don't matter to you. You will burn out trying to keep up with others, maybe. And worst of all, you will lose touch with your authentic self that might not need the 6 figures or doesn't want the 6 figures. I mean, how many people do you know personally who have checked all the boxes? They had a great career, a nice house, a nice bank account, but still when you meet them, they are unfulfilled. They don't feel like they have found their meaning in their life. They have everything, but then there's so much other drama going on, and you feel like, wow, they have it all, and then still that's not making them happy. So living a values-driven life isn't some cool, nice to have thing. It's actually your necessity. And how you can break free of this value void life? How do you shift from like a goal obsession to values alignment? So what I do this year, also for next year, for 2025, is not setting goals. I set myself up for value alignment. And it all starts with asking yourself some hard damn questions. One of the questions is, what do I care about deeply, even if no one else notices, even if nobody else looks? Another question is, what kind of person do I want to be? And another one is, what qualities do I want to embody every single day? And here's the magic. When your goals align with your values, they stop being about the destination all the time. They become way more about the journey of who you become all along. Because every time you get yourself out of your comfort zone and you do something that's really, really hard, you become a changed person. And in that change, you suddenly feel that every step to get there feels way more meaningful. And suddenly the outcome is a nice side effect, but it's not the target. So for example, I absolutely value authenticity. It is my absolute core value. And so one of my goals is to grow this podcast. But my goal isn't just about the number of downloads or followers. It's about creating conversations that resonate deeply with me and that help you live your truth. That's what keeps me going, even on days when the numbers don't look great or I just don't feel like recording a podcast. And this is the big takeaway, my love. You are not at the mercy of any of your goals. You are not at the mercy of any societal expectations. You're just at your mercy of yourself, and that's already a lot. But when you align your goals with your values, you take ownership of your life. You make sure you have a guarantee that the goal is something that's meaningful, that adds to your purpose. And you stop chasing what looks good on paper, and you start building a life that feels good in your soul. So this is the most authentic way to live. And it's obviously not about perfection or being the most productive soul in our society. It's about honoring your truth every step of the way. And it's also about finding out what is your truth. And you don't find out your truth when you are chasing arbitrary goals that are extrinsically motivated, but you lost your values compass. So next time, or maybe you will sit down in the old year to set a goal, ask yourself, does this goal align with my values? You can have a checklist. I usually have 5 core values because I can remember the number 5 really good. So if you have, I don't know, 3 core values, 7 core values, doesn't matter. But bring those core values, list them on the sheet of paper when you are setting a goal. Maybe it's now or maybe it's in 2 months. And really make sure that that goal aligns to one of your core values. It doesn't need to hit all 5 or all 7 or all 3 of your goals, but at least one of that. And then you can also ask yourself, does this reflect who I really am? Because when you root your goals in authenticity, they stop being about achieving and they start more about about becoming. And we all want to become someone. We are good as we are, but we want to become better. We want to become excellent. We want to become maybe a more caring, loving wife, or maybe a more caring mother. Or maybe you have a career goal where you say, I want to become a manager, or more often I want to, like, for example, broaden my intellect. Whatever it is, it's about becoming and less about the achieving of that very arbitrary, extrinsic, motivated goal. Okay, I hope that episode felt good. I hope it brought you some maybe broader perspective about goal setting for the new year, and can also, obviously, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of goal setting for a new year, but I kind of this year, when navigating a year where I was aligning myself to my values and not about setting any goals, and I have achieved so much this year that I'm so proud of, and it was all about becoming someone who I am insanely proud of, versus now showing a list of external goals that I hit and external results that I achieved. And that was the first year that I feel this was a year that was really lush, and I took so much time off this year from working on my business and in my business. I used time to read and broaden my, I really wanted to learn more things outside of about the work that I do and the coaching that I do with my clients, and it's been so good. And I hope that when you bring in values, when you want to set an intention for 2025, or when you start your goal setting exercise, that you bring in your core values. If you don't know your core values, and I will preach values until I'm leaving this world, and you will hear me talk about the importance of it, because I truly believe it's one of the most important cornerstones of your life, about your meaningful, authentic life. So if you want to know how you go about all those values, that value thingy that I explained, I might also do a whole podcast around it, because it's that important. But what I want you to do is, if you're not sure about your core values, or you've done this a couple of years ago and you don't remember anything, just type in Google core values or values, get a list of 30, 40, 20, whatever values, and then go through this list and pick the ones where you feel a visceral reaction. So be very careful that it's not about what looks fancy, but what is truly, truly resonant with you, what you cannot live without by any means. And then circle those and bring them on, put them on paper. And again, I always remember 5 values the best. So I have 5 core values, but you choose the number that you remember the easiest, or maybe you cannot decide for 5 values, and please take 7. And then when you set your goals, you bring these values with you. And it's the best if you list it out so that you can see it and your mind knows exactly how to align the goals, or how to formulate goals to be in alignment with your core values. Alrighty, that's it for today's episode, my love. If that's resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget, goals are great, but your values are what makes them worth pursuing, okay? So I want you to really take that away from today's episode, that goals are cool. I'm absolutely not against goals. In the contrary, we need to know where we are going and how we achieve our vision, but your values are what makes them worth pursuing. And the worth of pursuing is where the intrinsic motivation comes in. Until next time, my love, keep doing you, boo, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.